The stars above Earth had always been silent, but humanity never believed they were empty. For decades, human scientists listened, watched, and waited. Radio signals were sent into the dark, probes drifted beyond the edge of the solar system, and slow ships carried human hope farther each year. Still, no answer came. Many believed first contact would arrive with fire or fear. Others imagined wonder and friendship. No one expected it to begin with a border alarm. The alert reached Earth in the early hours of the morning. Unknown vessels had appeared near the outer boundary of human-monitored space. They were massive, smooth, and unlike any design humans knew. They did not attack. They did not speak. They simply stopped and waited. Within hours, every major government was awake. Satellites focused their sensors. Military fleets moved into defensive positions, but no weapons were fired. The unknown ships remained silent. This silence frightened many, but it also offered a chance. Humanity still had time to choose how it would answer the stars. John Carter stood inside the quiet briefing room at the Global Contact Center. He was not a soldier. He did not wear armor. He wore a simple dark suit and carried a thin tablet under his arm. Years of negotiation on Earth had taught him that words could save more lives than weapons. Still, his hands were tense. Lisa Brown sat across from him, reading the final draft on her screen. She had spent her career studying law, war treaties, and the failures of old agreements. She knew how often peace was promised and broken. Now she was being asked to help write the first agreement humanity would ever offer to another species. "They are still holding position," an aide said quietly. "No weapon charging detected, no message received." John nodded. "That means they are watching. We should not keep them waiting." Lisa looked up. "Once we go out there, everything changes. There is no taking it back." "It already changed when they arrived," John replied. "We just decide how it changes next." The contact ship moved slowly toward the alien vessels. It was small compared to them, almost fragile. Its hull carried no heavy weapons, only shields and communication arrays. Many commanders had argued against this choice. They wanted strength. They wanted fear to protect Earth. But humanity's leaders remembered their own history. Fear had never kept peace for long. As the ship approached, light spread across the alien hulls like flowing water. Patterns shifted, slow and deliberate. Instruments detected energy but not weapons. Then a signal appeared. It was not a voice, it was data. Lisa's eyes widened as the translators worked. "They are not demanding surrender," she said. "They are identifying themselves." John leaned closer. "What do they call themselves?" "They are part of something called the Unified Council," Lisa replied. "A group of many species. They say this region is under council observation." "Observation," John repeated, "not ownership." Another message followed. This one was clearer, more direct. The council ships requested a formal exchange, not a battle, not a test of strength, an exchange of intent. John took a slow breath. "Open the channel, full transparency." The image that appeared was not a single face. It was a shared projection, shifting between shapes and colors. The aliens did not look human. Some were tall and thin, others wide and layered, others more like living light. Their voices blended through the translator into a calm tone. "Emerging civilization of soul," the voice said. "You have reached a threshold. State your purpose." Many expected John to speak of defense or survival. Instead, he said something no alien had recorded before. "Humanity seeks peaceful coexistence," John said. "We come with an offer, not a threat." The alien projection paused. Silence followed, heavy and sharp. "Fi," the council voice replied. Lisa stepped forward. "We have prepared a treaty, a peace treaty. It defines how we will act toward you and how we ask you to act toward us." Another pause. The council members shifted. Faint energy waves moved across their forms. "No civilization has offered such a document at first contact," the voice said. "First contact establishes dominance or submission." "That has been the pattern," John replied. "And it has led to endless war. We choose a different beginning." Lisa transmitted the document. On the alien side, systems analyzed it instantly. The treaty was not short. It did not claim territory. It did not demand technology. It spoke of shared space, limits on force, protection of non-combatants, and mutual responsibility. It stated clearly that humanity would not strike first and would not accept conquest. Inside the council ships, confusion spread. This document challenged laws older than human civilization. Galactic law was built on hierarchy, strong ruled weak. Borders shifted through conquest. Peace existed only when enforced by fear. The human treaty rejected that structure. You propose restrictions on warfare, the council voice said slowly. Such limits weaken survival. History taught us the opposite, Lisa answered. Unlimited war destroys everyone, including the victor. John added, we survived because we learned restraint, not perfectly, not easily, but enough to still be here. One council representative stepped forward, its form glowing brighter. Your species is young, you cannot understand the galaxy's dangers. We understand danger very well, John said. That is why we are offering rules before blood is spilled. The council ships did not move closer, they did not leave. Instead, they listened. Time passed differently in that space. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the council spoke again. This treaty will be reviewed, the voice said. Its implications extend beyond your species. We know, Lisa replied. That is why we wrote it the way we did. If accepted, the voice continued, it would require revision of existing galactic law. John nodded once. Then it is worth reviewing. Another long pause followed. Then the council ships shifted position, slowly withdrawing a small distance. No hostile action will be taken, the council said. Observation will continue. You will be informed of our decision. The channel closed. Inside the human ship, no one spoke for several seconds. Finally, a quiet breath escaped Lisa. We just asked the galaxy to change, she said. John looked at the fading alien lights. Or we showed them that change is possible. Back on Earth, reactions were mixed. Some celebrated that humanity was still alive. Others accused the diplomats of weakness. Military leaders warned that trust could be fatal. But one truth was clear. The galaxy had not attacked. Alien observers returned to their council with a document that did not fit any known category. It was not a surrender. It was not a threat. It was not a trick they could easily see. It was a promise. And promises in a galaxy built on power were the most dangerous idea of all. The council ships withdrew from human space, but their presence did not fade from human thought. Days passed, then weeks. Humanity waited, watched, and argued. Every broadcast channel debated the same question. Had humanity shown wisdom or weakness? On Earth, John Carter returned to the Global Contact Center. He slept little. Messages arrived from every direction. Some leaders praised his calm words. Others demanded he prepare for war. John listened to all of them, but he did not change his position. Once words were chosen, they had to be honored. Lisa Brown spent most of her time in the legal chamber. The human treaty was no longer just a document. It had become a symbol. Legal teams from different nations reviewed every sentence again and again. They searched for flaws, hidden dangers, and ways the council could twist its meaning. They will test this, one advisor warned. They will look for weakness. Lisa nodded. Every law is tested. That does not mean it should never exist. Far beyond Earth, the unified council gathered in a chamber that existed partly in physical space and partly in shared perception. Representatives from dozens of species focused on the human document. Some viewed it with curiosity, others with anger. For centuries, the council had maintained order through controlled force. Wars were allowed but regulated in ways that favored the old powers. Weaker species survived by submitting or aligning themselves with stronger protectors. It was an unfair system, but it was stable. The human treaty threatened that balance. One ancient representative, its voice slow and heavy, addressed the chamber. If this document is accepted, smaller civilizations will demand protection. Larger powers will lose their advantage. Another replied, if it is rejected, humanity may resist us. They are young, but their growth rate is unusual. Records were displayed showing human development. In a short span of time, humanity had moved from internal wars to planetary cooperation. It was imperfect, violent at times, but fast. They learned quickly, one observer said. That makes them dangerous. Or valuable, another countered. Back on Earth, Adam Lee studied those same records, unaware of how closely the council watched him. Adam was a historian chosen not for politics but for memory. He understood patterns, he understood collapse. He met with John and Lisa in a quiet room. Our history scares them, Adam said. Not because of our weapons, but because of our changes. Empires fear what adapts. John folded his hands. Will they listen? Some will, Adam replied. Others will never accept limits, but even they will hesitate if the galaxy watches. Weeks later, a message finally arrived. It was brief, formal, and unsettling. The Unified Council will place the human treaty under full legal review. Selected human representatives will be invited to observe. Observe, not speak, not vote. Many saw this as an insult. John saw it as progress. Human delegates traveled again beyond Earth space. This time they were joined by Adam and Mary Collins, a quiet translator who specialized in turning human law into clear universal meaning. Mary understood that words shaped reality. The council chamber was vast. Light bent strangely. Space felt deep and crowded at the same time. No single species dominated the room. Still, power could be felt. As the review began, the treaty was projected line by line. Restrictions on first strikes. Protections for non-combatants. Shared responsibility for damaged worlds. Limitations on total destruction weapons. Murmurs spread. This forbids orbital cleansing, one council member said sharply. Yes, Mary replied calmly, because it ends civilizations. It ends wars, another argued. It ends everything, Adam said, including future trade, culture, and knowledge. Questions came fast. Some were honest. Others were traps. What prevents humanity from breaking this treaty once it is accepted? A powerful empire demanded. John answered simply. Nothing but consequence, the same thing that holds all law together. Fear, the alien replied. Trust, John said. Fear fails when it grows too large. Resistance hardened among the oldest powers. Behind the scenes, messages were sent, fleets repositioned, pressure built. Small border conflicts began across distant systems. Not involving humans, but clearly connected to the debate. Worlds burned quietly while the council argued rules. News of this reached Earth. Many demanded humanity act. This is proof, critics said. They are violent. The treaty is meaningless. John refused to change course. Instead, humanity did something unexpected. Human ships loaded with medical aid, food printers, and repair drones were sent toward neutral systems affected by the conflicts. They did not fire weapons. They did not take territory. They helped whoever needed it. Kevin Morris coordinated these missions from orbit. He was a fleet officer trained for war, not mercy, yet he followed orders without complaint. No engagement unless attacked, he told his crews. We are here to save lives. Alien observers watched carefully. Human ships entered damaged systems, repaired habitats, and left. Sometimes they were threatened. Sometimes they were ignored. They never retaliated. This behavior confused many council members more than the treaty itself. They give aid without alliance, one observer noted. There is no gain. There is gain, another replied. Influence. Not the kind we understand, the first answered. Inside the council chamber, debate reached a breaking point. If this treaty passes, an old empire warned, we will lose control. Or we will lose endless war, a younger species replied. Finally, the council called for a formal vote. Not on full acceptance, but on whether the treaty should become the foundation for revised galactic law. This alone was historic. The vote would not be hidden. It would be observed by the entire galaxy. On Earth, humanity waited again. John stood beside Lisa as the message reached them. This is it, Lisa said quietly. John nodded. Whatever happens, we showed them who we are. Far across the stars, signals aligned. The vote began. And for the first time in recorded galactic history, law was not being shaped by conquest but by a question. Could power accept limits, or would it destroy itself rather than change? The vote did not end the tension, it spread it. As council signals carried the decision process across the galaxy, reactions formed like storms. Some worlds celebrated the chance for safety. Others armed themselves, fearing loss of power. Old empires whispered to their fleets and tested borders, searching for cracks. Humanity watched from afar. John Carter stayed near the contact center, reading reports that arrived without pause. Lisa Brown worked through nights, preparing responses to questions that had not yet been asked. Adam Lee compared the present moment to turning points in human history, times when restraint had either saved nations or failed them. This is the moment when fear looks for excuses. Adam said quietly during one meeting. Someone will try to prove the treaty is foolish. He was right. Far from Earth, a minor council member world was struck by a sudden attack from a neighboring power. Orbital stations were damaged. Cities lost power. The attackers claimed it was a border dispute unrelated to the vote. No one believed that. The council froze. Some members argued this proved the need for strong force. Others argued it proved the need for limits. On Earth, voices rose again. This is what happens when we hesitate, critics said. We should strike before they do. John refused. Instead, humanity answered the attack with aid. Kevin Morris received the order without ceremony. His fleet was already near the region, delivering supplies to other systems. He redirected ships toward the damaged world. No weapons charged, he reminded his crews. Shields only, rescue first. Some officers questioned the risk. What if they attack us? One asked. Then the galaxy will see who broke the promise, Kevin replied. Human ships arrived to burning orbits and broken habitats. Rescue drones spread. Medical bays filled with injured aliens of shapes and forms humans had never seen before. Translators struggled, but care did not need perfect words. Alien commanders watched with disbelief. They are exposing themselves, one said. Why would they do this? Because the treaty was not just ink. News of the rescue spread faster than council debates. Neutral worlds took notice. Some quietly opened their ports to human aid ships. Others sent messages of thanks. The attackers hesitated, uncertain how to respond without revealing themselves as the villains. Inside the council chamber, pressure shifted. Humanity is enforcing the treaty without authority, an old power accused. They are following it, another replied. There is a difference. As days passed, more incidents occurred. Not large wars, but sharp tests. Each time, humanity responded the same way. No first strike, no conquest, only defense and aid. Lisa monitored every report. They are trying to make us fail, she said. And we are not giving them the result they want, John replied. Adam watched vote tallies change slowly. Support grew among smaller and mid-level civilizations. They saw in humanity a shield that did not demand submission. Then came the breaking move. One of the oldest empires declared that if the treaty passed, it would withdraw from the council and enforce its own laws by force. Its fleets mobilized openly. This was not a threat, it was a promise. The galaxy held its breath. Many expected humanity to finally prepare for war. Instead, John sent a message. It was simple. Humanity would not attack. Humanity would not submit. Humanity would continue to follow the treaty even if others did not. They are choosing weakness, some council members said. They are choosing consistency, others answered. Kevin's fleet received new orders. They were to position near vulnerable systems, not as soldiers but as witnesses. Every move would be recorded and shared. We are the mirror, Kevin told his crews. Let the galaxy see itself. The old empire's fleets advanced toward a smaller world that had spoken in favor of the treaty. Weapons powered up, fear spread. Human ships moved closer, shields bright, weapons cold. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the old empire fired. The attack struck the smaller world's defense ring. Damage was heavy but not total. Before a second volley could launch, human ships moved between the fleets in the world. This violates the proposed law, a human signal broadcast calmly. Cease fire, the old empire laughed. You have no authority, their response came. We have responsibility, Kevin answered. Human shields absorbed the next strike. They held barely. No return fire followed. Across the galaxy, billions watched. Another strike came. Shields cracked. Human ships suffered damage. Still, no attack was returned. This restraint shook the council more than any weapon could. They are willing to bleed for law, one observer said. No one has done that before, another replied. The old empire paused. Victory without resistance felt wrong, dangerous. Their commanders hesitated. That hesitation was enough. Other council fleets arrived not to fight humanity but to separate the forces. Pressure mounted. The old empire withdrew, furious but exposed. The smaller world survived. Human ships limped away, damaged but intact. On Earth, silence filled the contact center as reports ended. Lisa finally spoke. They proved the treaty works. John nodded slowly. They proved it costs something. Inside the council chamber, the vote resumed. Support surged. Even some who feared change now feared chaos more. Adam watched the final tallies approach a decision point. History will mark this, he said, either as the moment law evolved or the moment it was abandoned. Outside the chamber, human aid ships continued their work. No speeches, no demands, only action. And as the vote neared its end, the galaxy faced a truth it could no longer avoid. Power without limits created endless enemies, but restraint, when proven real, could reshape everything. The decision was coming, and whatever the result, the galaxy would never see humanity as weak again. The vote ended in silence. Not the quiet of peace, but the heavy pause that follows a choice that cannot be undone. Across the council chamber, signals settled, tallies locked. The result spread outward, carried by light and data to every corner of known space. The treaty passed, not by a narrow margin but by a clear one. For the first time in galactic history, law was not shaped by the strongest fleets or the oldest empires. It was shaped by restraint, accountability, and shared limits. Inside the chamber, reactions varied. Some representatives dimmed their presence, defeated. Others brightened with relief. A few watched in silence, already planning how to survive a galaxy that had changed without them. The council voice spoke again, steadier than before. The human treaty will serve as the foundation for revised galactic law. Enforcement will be collective. No single power shall hold authority over it. John Carter stood still as the words reached him. For a moment he felt the weight of history pressed down, not as pride but as responsibility. Lisa Brown closed her eyes briefly. "It worked," she whispered. "They chose law over fear." Adam Lee looked at the projections of changing legal codes. "They chose survival," he said. "Fear just never realized it was the same thing." Across the galaxy, reactions erupted. Smaller worlds celebrated openly. Defenses powered down for the first time in generations. Trade signals surged as routes reopened without tribute demands. Older empires responded more carefully. Some issued statements of compliance while quietly reducing fleet activity. Others tested the new rules with minor violations, only to face unified pressure from multiple council members. For the first time, consequences did not come from a single dominant power. They came from everyone. Humanity did not lead fleets of punishment. It sent observers, mediators, and aid ships. Kevin Morris oversaw the transition from emergency rescue to long-term support. "We're not the police," he reminded his officers. "We're proof this can work." Human ships assisted in rebuilding damaged stations, restoring power grids, and training mixed-species crews in shared defense protocols. No flags were raised, no territories claimed. This confused many. "Why do they not claim reward?" one alien asked during a council session. John answered simply, "Because peace is not a favor, it is a habit." As months passed, the changes deepened. New legal councils formed, made of multiple species. Disputes that once would have sparked wars were brought before shared courts. Some rulings were ignored at first, but unified response followed. Economic pressure instead of bombardment. It was slower than war, but it lasted longer. Not all resisted change. The old empire that had threatened withdrawal faced increasing isolation. Trade partners left. Allies demanded adherence to the new law. Its fleets remained powerful, but power without partners began to rot. Finally, quietly, it sent observers to the council. Compliance followed. On Earth, life continued. Human children watched the stars with a new understanding. They were not just distant lights. They were neighbors. John returned home for the first time in many months. The world felt smaller now, yet safer. Strangers recognized him, not as a hero, but as a symbol of a choice. Lisa continued her work, helping translate galactic law into forms all species could understand. She often said the hardest part was not writing rules but teaching patience. Adam began recording the story, not as a tale of victory but of restraint. He warned that law could fail if people stopped believing in it. "Peace is not permanent," he wrote. "It is practiced." Far beyond human space, alien historians struggled to describe what had happened. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. Humanity had not threatened extinction. Humanity had arrived with a promise, then paid the cost to keep it. One record stated it plainly. They rewrote galactic law not because they were the strongest, but because they were willing to suffer for rules that protected others. There were still conflicts. There were still criminals, rebels, and those who believed power should never be limited, but now they faced a united response, not a single empire, a shared line that could not be crossed without consequence. In the quiet years that followed, trade flourished. Cultures mixed. Shared projects began, from deep space exploration to joint defenses against natural cosmic threats. Human engineers worked beside alien minds on structures that no single species could build alone. And when new civilizations emerged, watching the stars with fear and hope, they were not greeted by demands or fleets. They were greeted by a document, a treaty, a promise that said they were not alone, and that strength did not have to mean domination. On a distant council archive, a final note was added to the record of first contact with humanity. They did not ask what the galaxy could give them. They asked what kind of galaxy should exist. And because they asked first and acted second, the galaxy answered, not with war, but with law. And for the first time in countless ages, the stars felt quieter, not because they were empty, but because they were listening.